Hey there, and welcome back to another Miraculous Ladybug Season 2 retrospective review, where I go through old episodes of Miraculous I never got around to making a review for and give my thoughts. It's a pretty topical episode today as well, as we're up to Troublemaker. I don't really remember this episode whatsoever, but I'm pretty sure it just recently got a shout out in the London World special, so I'd guess it involves somebody with a very similar power set to when Lila was the ghost villain, because that's what they say. It's been a while since our last retrospective video, and no time like the present to jump back into things, so here we go. We start off the episode following Penny as her life gets increasingly more difficult as a result of the wild demands of her boss, Jagged Stone, who she is majorly vibing. Also, is it just me, or has the last couple of seasons turned Jagged away from being a fun parody character of entitled rock stars with weird demands like being served dinner on the back of a polar bear and having a pet crocodile, and instead towards being an absolute loser deadbeat who I can't stand at all? Here are the facts. Jagged Stone has 2 kids that he knows about. He's not in contact with them. They don't know who he is. He chose fame and fortune over a life with them. I see no evidence that he pays child support or anything of the sort. So 2 kids, no child support, no contact. Meanwhile, he's here, living it up. He's having a long-term stay in a penthouse suite of a luxury hotel, thousands of euros a night for sure. I mean, maybe he gets a bundle discount, but the mayor seems greedy to me and Jagged seems very rich that it wouldn't even matter. On top of that, he's constantly making insane demands of everybody, like having food on the back of a polar bear, as well as having a pet crocodile, a crocodile that is a pet, and one that seems to regularly escape, which puts everybody at risk. A quick Google search would tell you that a crocodile is very high-strung and aggressive, and are incredibly difficult to train. And do you think that Jagged Stone would ever have put in the effort to train this thing? I certainly don't. Fang is just wandering the hallways where it could easily stumble upon and kill anybody it chooses. Screw this guy, living this immensely selfish life, not giving a damn about his kids. And I gotta say that the fact that he works harder at making a pretty tight bond between himself and Marinette instead of his children is wild to me. All the while this is going on, Jagged and Bob Roth, his manager, are getting into a heated confrontation. Bob wants him to go on a reality show, but Jagged isn't feeling this particular one. But luckily, Penny has an idea. So she organizes his appearance on Alex's latest show, Fill My Shoes, where guests spend the day doing the job of somebody else. Today, Jagged's working as a baker at Tom's Bakery. Yeah, I would actually watch this show, not gonna lie. Sounds like a lot of fun. And by the way, this is some really good publicity for Tom's Bakery. Canonically, they must get some pretty extreme business, right? They cater for movie premieres. They have TV shows turn up at their place all the time. They have celebrities and other high flyers come in and buy stuff from their store. I mean, if this was a real life bakery, they would have lines wrapped around the block every single day. That's just facts. Also, Tom continues to just be massively endearing as a character, being so nervous in front of the cameras and awkward at first, only to become super charismatic and into that whole thing as you go along. Eventually, he even starts singing along with Jagged Stone. Oh, wholesome Tom. Also, that bread guitar that Jagged actually made was very impressive. Marinette then gets brought onto the show, and of course, since she's in her clumsy phase right now, she manages to drop a bag of flour on Jagged's head. No sweat though, he can clean up in the bathroom, but instead, he ends up in Marinette's bedroom. And like an entitled celebrity, he doesn't leave. He chooses to sneak around the bedroom of a teenage girl. And then the TV crew also comes in. My God. How the hell could they possibly think this was the way to the bathroom? It's the literal top floor of the house. At this point, the show then goes live on TV, and Jagged comments on the huge heap of photos of Adrian, whilst Adrian is at home watching the program. I guarantee this clip is going to go viral in her school. Even worse, Marinette told all of her friends to watch this. This is up there with the wax statue incident as one of the show's cringiest moments of all time. Yeesh! Although I have to say, it gets even worse from here. As not only does she get humiliated there, but then she bursts into the room whilst the TV show's live, yelling at the crew to get out. Like, how do you recover from that? It's just so deeply awkward. So humiliating. Take your pick. I feel like if that happens to you, you kind of just have to own it. And I have to say that this is the type of thing that should get you to consider being homeschooled from now on. Moving on, Penny ushers them all out of the room, but the weight of all that responsibility starts to come crashing down on her, which allows Gabe to capitalize and akumatize her into Troublemaker, a villain with, well, it's an old person's idea of what a troublemaker looks like. And she has a clicky pen that lets her turn into a ghost who can phase through walls and floors and pretty much anything, and who wants to cause trouble for those who caused her trouble. Meanwhile, Marinette's upstairs having a bit of a meltdown because she has just been humiliated on TV and thinks her social life is over. And Tiki is not much help either, rubbing it in her face that this was all live and so there's no way to delete the tape and stop it being released. Ouch, Tiki. Bit of a bully. Downstairs, just as the show is apparently getting record ratings, which is nightmarish as well, and is about to go back on the air, Marinette's parents have, well, it's honestly a bit of a Chad moment, all things considered. They refuse to continue the show and tell everybody to piss off because they are rightfully upset that their daughter was just humiliated on live TV. And through the machinations of Troublemaker, from here things really start to kick off. First, Sabine thinks that Bob Roth is creeping on her, touching her back, and so she pulls out some martial arts moves, complete with twirls and all such, martial arts noises. And I do have to ask, in this context, is that racist? She's Chinese, so of course she knows Kung Fu, but then also they give the very stereotyped moves and, the noises she makes. I don't know, it just gave me a bit of raised eyebrows, a bit uncomfortable. But next up, it's Tom and Bob, and they almost get into it, but come on, Bob. Tom's going to tear you apart. Look at the size of this absolute unit of a man. Apparently the Neanderthals did not go extinct because here one is. Jagged then gets stuffed into a flour bag. Alec gets pushed over. She locks them all in and torments them. But hey, at least the program's still live because now this is going to lead to record ratings. Trust me. Of course, Marinette's watching the broadcast from upstairs and so instantly transforms into Ladybug, and poor old Adrian, still watching the broadcast uncomfortably at his house, does the same. And I guess he has rocket boots on. Or he lives a lot closer than I thought he did, because he actually arrives at the battle first. I mean, granted, maybe Ladybug's biding her time, but her parents are in there. You'd think she'd have some urgency to get in there and help them out, right? Especially since Tom was throwing hands with Troublemaker and getting whooped. That was on TV. And I gotta say, Tom is just the best in this episode. He's brave, protective, kind, sweet to his wife and kid. What's not to love? Cat Noir then arrives and tries to make his grand entrance, only to be soundly defeated and saved by Ladybug. Although I have to wonder, he got punched so hard that it bent the car metal there. But when Ladybug grabs him and launches him in the air to save him, and he lands on that beach chair recliner thing, it somehow doesn't buckle. What is it made of? Also, was he seriously going to waste a cataclysm on opening the shutter doors? Doesn't he have super strength? A metal stick that he could use as leverage? Come on. The pair then head into Marinette's room and face off with Troublemaker. And a couple things here. One, I don't care what explanation is ever offered for this. If I was Adrian, I would find this room deeply, deeply creepy. I don't care if she's a designer or whatever. It is weird. Very good friend, my ass. On top of that, Cat Noir's ears are actually ears that work like cat ears? How? Also, they help his hearing? It's so weird when they pull out the cat sensors for him, such as the eyes or the ears. They're used so infrequently that I often forget they exist at all. Anyway, the battle's pretty fun actually, and I can see how the fight from the special is very reminiscent of this one, except Lila is a far better Hawkmoth and gave herself a way better power set. The unexpected star of this battle was actually Cat Noir, who was constantly being sabotaged by Ladybug because she was embarrassed about her Adrian obsession being exposed to her friend. But despite it all, he's able to straight up save Ladybug from losing her Miraculous and being defeated by Troublemaker, who probably would have then gone on to defeat Cat Noir because he would have been shocked that Ladybug was Marinette. Would have been game over, so he really did come in clutch for this battle. And I have to say, I forgot how fun these episodes could be. If the animation wasn't quite so janky, it would be perfect. But yes, he came in clutch, and they almost took the win right there as he knocked the pen out of Troublemaker's hands. To tell you the truth, considering the objects often break from being snapped or stepped on very lightly, the fact that this getting walloped by the metal staff was not enough to release the Akuma kind of reeks of plot armor for Troublemaker. After an awkward hand-holding moment, which was rather funny, at least from Cat Noir's reaction, the pair heads downstairs in pursuit of Troublemaker. And once again, we get a damn good fight scene that highlights all three characters really well. The two heroes work well together and save each other from defeat, whilst Troublemaker looks very strong and cunning overall. To the point that once again she manages to snatch one of the earrings and almost forces Ladybug to change back, before Cat Noir swoops in with the Cataclysm and forces her to transform into her ghost mode, and thus she drops the earring and escapes through the floor. Ladybug then uses her lucky charm, after not thanking Cat Noir by the way for helping her. And then we come to the finale of the battle, which was, it was kind of stupid, not gonna lie. They used super glue to glue Ladybug's earrings on, but apparently the super glue is both wet and super strong and instant drying, because as soon as Troublemaker touches the earrings on the outside of them, her hands get stuck there. Doesn't matter how strong she is, they're not budging. I mean, surely Marinette's ears would rip off first, right? But it ain't that kind of show, so it ain't budging and she gets got. Good game, you cooked. De-akumatized, miraculous Ladybug, you know how it goes. And all Penny needs is a quick pep talk from Ladybug, and off she goes downstairs to reunite with Jagged, who gives her a big hug and tells her how much she means to him. We then get treated to some cringy pickup lines from Cat Noir. Oh, And this is what I mean with the weird twist in his character after Glaciator. I thought he said he wouldn't be doing this kind of stuff, but here he is, still doing it, being weird. Come on. The next day, Marinette Gremlin walks into school, sneaking past everybody because she knows that she was just made the laughingstock of with the expose of her bedroom. Although I gotta say, I think her reputation would be even worse if people saw her crab walking into the locker rooms. You just gotta hold your head high and walk in. There's lots of cringy people at your school. Trust me. Remember that episode where the girls swarmed Adrian? Also, does she just not keep anything in her locker at all? No locks on these lockers either. Bit different to my schooling experience. Unluckily enough for her though, Adrian finds her. And we have a pretty funny scene where she tries to explain to this dude why she has so many photos of him in her bedroom. Like, come on, mate. This is beyond having an interest in fashion. Because if she cared that much about fashion, there would have been other models and other brands, not just him. And a lot of the photos, they weren't even like fashion photos. They were just him. Ugh. And so, from this, I know he always goes on about how they're just friends, but the vibe I got from this scene was that he knows that she has a crush on him, but he doesn't want to embarrass his friend. Honestly, before watching this, I kind of thought he was just a typical aggressed smooth brain, but judging by this scene, I think he was originally written to know from this point onwards, but he's such a nice guy and is used to so many people having a crush on him already that it doesn't really bother him. Like, no chance he bought that fashion excuse based on his facial expressions in this scene. And honestly, that's kind of wholesome to me. It is weird that they smooth brain him out later to be in epic denial, because right now he's peak. But yeah, with all that being said, that's the end of the episode and thus the video, and so I'll just remind you these have all been my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of the episode? You like it? Hate it? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.